they're like, well, in order to preserve our business, as you know, when Trump was on their side, like less than a year ago,
right?
A heritage American company making a quintessentially American product, the Harley Davidson motorcycle, the V-twin engine on those things. Harley has trademarked the sound. If you don't, even if you're not into bikes, you have to appreciate Harley Davidson for truly being an American company. Yeah. Well, thanks to Trump's trade war, they were basically faced with a choice of eventually going out of business or moving some production offshore.
Well, it's been moved to Thailand. Mm-hmm. The steel that they were using, because they put to avoid the tariffs, they would switch. That way, they would switch. They would lose out on that tariff, and that way, that tariff wouldn't bother them. That the Europeans was about to slap. So because if they did not, the steel that they were using, if they didn't make that product in Thailand, which they're avoiding those tariffs, right? That bike would go up an extra $2,000, and they don't want you to put more of a price on that bike.
Yeah, Harleys aren't cheap as it is.
No, as it is. Yeah. So that's why and they already were never making a lot of Harley products in America anyway because it was too expensive. That's why they had plants already in Thailand is perfect for them. That's why those Thailand's actually rolling. If you can get your job in, plants over, a lot of companies have plants over in Thailand. So that's why they had to move that because the Europeans told them, okay, we're going to slap a tariff on that bitch. And they said, oh, shit. So they had to move that business that they were doing here for those particular those bikes that they were selling in Europe. They had to send that shit to Thailand to get to get those parts made there, so they could sell that box, so still keep that price down, and their business would do well because they were losing business, as a matter of fact, because of Trump.
Well, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens because and I certainly don't want to stereotype all bikers as violent roughnecks. But, Trump has taken on a lot of different groups of people. Mm-hmm. He's chosen to attack them. Like we said earlier, he calls the media the enemy of the people. I kind of look forward to seeing Trump taking on the bikers. Because any fight involving the bikers,
right.
I'm kind of edging to bet on the bikers.
But you know what? But you know what? There are a lot of people. Bikers or not.
Oh, they're
still backing this dude.
Yeah, there are a lot of ignorant people, like we said earlier. Their pockets, they turn them inside out. Nothing falls out, not even lint. But still, Trump says my pockets are full, so I must just not be catching something. I don't know what's happening.
As someone said to me, it does not make sense for a poor person to vote Republican.
No, it doesn't.
Because he does not. There's no way you're going to get. Now, if you're rich, it helps you to be Republican because they are trying to keep your, they're trying to help your taxes and whatnot. But there are a lot of, depends on who your tax man is. You can get, if you're a Democrat, you can also be rich.
Yeah.
And you just got to make sure you got a good tax guy because your taxes keep going up.
The thing is, and I understand the desire for, lower taxes. I understand the concept of actual border security, not, this bullshit with a wall and throwing children in internment camps. That at the root, some of these things that they say they stand for, they do have reason, but the practice, the execution, what are we willing to give up? How much of our freedom, how much of our civil rights, how much of what makes America exceptional are we willing to give up for the average person to save a couple bucks and for the corporations to save a shitload of money on their taxes? And apparently people are much more comfortable losing their liberties if they can save a couple bucks.
Mm-hmm. And losing our reputation as what America is supposed to be.
Yeah. One of this week, the UN I think it's the UN Immigration Council.
Well, no. The UN left. With the United States left the. They dropped out human rights.
Right, yeah. But this week, the UN Immigration Council was choosing a new leader,
right?
And that is a seat that I believe, except for one term, I'm not quite sure how long the terms are. America, the United States of America, has held that seat and run that council since its creation, with the exception of like 1 or 2 terms, and this week, the UN nixed Trump's candidate. So that is another way that America is being removed from leadership positions around the world. And you can say what you will about foreign countries. You can say what you will about the UN. I've been bitching about the UN for years as an ineffectual body, but they do serve a purpose. And even if you just look at them as a ceremonial body that doesn't really accomplish anything, which that's really not entirely true, but it's fun to say, the fact that the rest of the world is taking America out of leadership positions because of our current leadership, and our current leadership is hell-bent on convincing Americans that just makes us better. Mm-hmm. They're just hating. They're just jealous. They're just jealous because America's so great. One of the things I said when we were talking before the show is for the first year that Trump was in office, I was right there with everyone bitching about like him showing off the electoral map, going, these are all the states that went to me, and not by popular vote, because everybody knows that Hillary Clinton actually won the popular vote, but by the Electoral College. And it was an idiotic, braggadocious ego move for him to spend so much time picking up these maps and pointing them out and what states voted for him. But thankfully now, with the trade war that he started, all of our barely current allies and soon to be ex-allies, who in World War II, we were the Allied powers. Right. I don't remember what show I was watching. Someone pointed out that, all of a sudden, in the last year, we're siding up with the Axis powers, like what the fuck?
Yeah.
He wants, he's having a meeting with Putin.
Yeah. Well, it's time for his annual job review. So, and they're doing it in Helsinki, Finland, because apparently Moscow hotel managers told Putin, we don't have the budget to buy more mattresses. So can you do this somewhere else? Mm-hmm. Have the hooker pee parties with Trump elsewhere. Michelle, the look on your face right now, you're just like, what the hell is he talking about right now? But my point about the electoral map is that he spent the first year of his presidency bragging about it, showing that map off. And now all of the countries and the European Union that are being penalized by Trump's tariffs under this trade war are freeze framing their footage from Fox News and go, wait, let me look at that map again. Okay. Oh, Kentucky. Bourbon. Okay, we're going to put tariffs on bourbon. Iowa. Iowa supported them too. Tariffs on soybeans. Wisconsin. Okay.
Cheese.
Harley Davidson.
And cheese.
Yeah, it's, this.
Because Mexico, majority of Wisconsin's cheese, America's cheese was going to Mexico.
They call it queso.
Yeah, and it is going. There's going to be a tariff slapped on that too.
Yeah, and
they're going to get him for this shit. They're going to say, "Oh, this way," and Canada told him, "We're not backing down, dude. You are destroying your own country for a bunch of and these rednecks and everybody. Oh, we don't want no socialism. We don't want no food. You need to understand. More white folks are on welfare than there are minorities. Okay, you need to understand when you see." White people are also have diabetes and cancer and all these other problems. Okay, and you keep saying we don't want this, we don't want that. Your teeth, you have no teeth in your head, you idiot.
Therefore, my remarks about stupid people. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that. That's the thing, David. I don't want to say that people are stupid.
Okay, but
we're having a tough time right now.
Right. What will it take to get you to a point where you're feeling comfortable calling these people stupid?
I know,
because I guarantee you, after half of our economy collapses
another minute or two,
due to this trade war, and these people that we're talking about as Tymon was saying, believe the Republicans who say, well, this is all Obama's fault. This is all Hillary's fault.
I know, this
and
is
their
ridiculous.
public eats it up. Is that going to be enough
That's
for you to
from
feel
pure
comfortable
racism.
saying that they're stupid?
That's from pure racism.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's right around the corner. You guys said you didn't watch Bill Maher last night, but watch the episode because Michael Moore was on, and he was kind of freaking out, but he raised a very valid point that what is it going to take for people to realize, fascism is coming. It's here.
It's here.
And the folks on the right, on Maher's show last night, the interview before the panel was with Ben Shapiro, and he was basically, saying, well, yeah, but all this stuff is okay because we're getting tax cuts and we get Supreme Court judge picks. And it's the thing is, this is eroding American values.
Wait a minute, Netanyahu's backing him too.
Yeah, and I everybody who listens to this show and knows me personally, I am a huge supporter of Israel. I lived there for a year during the first Intifada.
Just got the wife
I
fraud.
am a born and bred Zionist.
Right.
I support Israel fully. I don't like everything they do, but I do not support Netanyahu, much in the way that I'm an American,
right?
Love this country. And it is both my love for Israel and my love for America that pretty much mandates that I need to stand in opposition to Netanyahu and Trump and other tyrannical morons that try to use patriotism as an excuse to bring out the worst in their people.
Right.
Yeah, and how about Kim Jong-un? Right?
Yeah, wait a minute.
Well, he uses starvation.
Palling up with him. Yeah, exactly.
This
right.
is the same guy who stated when McConnell crucified Obama for talking to terrorists, talking to Iranians, talking to any of these people. He talked all bad about him. This motherfucker's praising him. This guy is sitting up there. They doing high fives and elbow rubs and but you call them the football players son of a bitches. But you sitting here. I wish my country would praise me the same way. I wish his people do him. You fucking idiot! Yeah, he's killed half of them.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
They're
like
conforming because you don't want to die.
When John Kelly leaves the White House, which apparently they're looking for a new chief of staff. You feed him to dogs.
Right.
Feed him to a pack of rabid dogs, and maybe Americans will start treating you like Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
And, the trade war is already, starting to show that the American economy is headed for a disaster that, much like climate change, has been manufactured by the Republicans. They made it. They own it. They're going to blame it on the Democrats, and their followers are going to believe it.
Okay.
Because, Michelle, I will say it. I have no qualms about it. Because they are stupid.
I know, we're in
because
trouble.
they are ignorant. And, Tymon, you bring up the whole thing of, well, the Republicans, were going apeshit when Obama talked about, talking to our enemies,
right.
And they're embracing Trump when they do it. And when we on the left call them out for their hypocrisy, they try to turn it around and say, oh, well, you're hypocrites because now it's Donald Trump talking and you don't like that.
Right.
And you know what? We don't. And it's not because of a personality thing. It's not because of a party line. It is because Donald Trump is who he is. It is because Donald Trump had one meeting with Kim Jong-un, has announced on repeated occasions at his fucking Nazi campaign rallies that we're getting the remains of American soldiers from the Korean War whose parents begged me to get their bodies back. We're getting those back. Guess what? We're not getting them back. They haven't come back. We denuclearized the Korean Peninsula. Meanwhile, his believers are believing that line of bullshit. North Korea is amping up their production. Trump pulls us out of the Iran deal, saying it's the worst deal ever. Iran is getting back to enriching uranium.
Right.
And his followers, they aren't paying attention to the details. Nope. They don't want to know about the man behind the curtain.
No,
they like looking up at the end of the room and seeing the great and powerful Oz with lights flashing and smoke coming out and a big ass head telling them that everyth's going to be okay because
hands.
I am the rich and powerful Oz.
I use that. Do you know how many people don't know that the Wizard of Oz, that there is a philosophy behind the reason why the guy wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, making you use your fucking brain to let you know that you could have already achieved. You don't need this big green thing. The dude behind the curtain, he's just he's